Hi everyone, my name is Sydney Quinn. I'm going to be reading today some pieces from my creative writing portfolio that I've developed over my time at Drew. Before I start to read, I'd like to thank Professor Zofnis for inviting me to speak. I'd also like to thank, along with Professor Zofnis, Professor Chapin and Professor Beresford, all from the creative writing department, for helping me grow as a writer throughout my time at Drew. So I'm going to share my screen. And the first thing I'm going to read is a poem. So this is Fairy Bridges. Um, so my father used to ask me if I wanted to know what fairies sounded like, and I would follow him in my glitter-flecked costume wings over to the stereo where he would insert his Enya CD, and we would open all the windows in our house to let the thawing spring air breathe through the tiny holes in the storm screens. Bundoran, Donegal County, January. The tour guide for my class trip takes us out to the fairy bridges, an outlook of land residing over the dunes, the thrashing Atlantic waves spitting white sea foam against the cliffs. And through the crevices of black rock, I imagine the electricity of tiny wings beating as the first notes of Orinoco flow build in my throat. And then I'm just going to read a little excerpt from my nonfiction piece called To Reconstruct. I spent the first 5 months of my existence with a breathing tube inserted through my nose, placed in an incubator in the neonatal intensive care unit. A doctor tells my parents that my nose will probably not be straight, but it's either that or I won't get any oxygen. My parents choose the breathing tube. The doctor is right. My nose grows to be slightly crooked, the cartilage and bones tilted to the left just enough for me to set it off wrong, enough for me to categorize myself as unpretty, but not out loud for my parents to hear because they filled me with so many stories of my infantile self in the NICU, with death trying to pose as one of the nurses that I know better than to invigorate their psychological trauma with my superficial complaints. Instead, I silently dislike all my school pictures. I turn away from group photos in middle school. I hope that in second grade, when my brother accidentally chucks a baseball at my face, when my nose starts to bleed, when my father instructs me to lie on a lawn chair with my head tilted back, that it's broken. Instead, my father wipes dried blood off my face with tissues and pats me on the shoulder. I am a strong kid, see? And I don't want to run out of time, so I'm going to stop it there. Um, thank you all again for listening to me, and I am excited to answer your questions.